you have to sort of scrimp where you can so that you can spend money where you want. In the past few years, when we were in a high traffic retail space, we noticed that the number of walk-ins were very small. When we were tracking our referral base and sort of where we're finding new patients, it was all online, right? It's all on Yelp, it's all on Google, it's all basically insurance-based, people referrals, person-to-person referrals. So we said we can save money by not spending X amount of dollars per square foot and instead converting a warehouse for a few bucks per square foot and then spending that money on the office that we wanted to see. What kind of audience do we have? What kind of population do we have? You can make some empirical determinations just by understanding the personality of the patients that come in. We know that we're in a business park. The majority of our patients are coming from companies like Qualcomm and all the biotech companies here. So they're going to have a certain personality. When we started breaking down the age groups and where they live, 46% were in their 30s. So kind of understanding that middle market, if you're 46% in your 30s, 28% in your 20s, and then maybe about 25% in your 40s, and then making up that number between everybody else, that demographic, which we fall into. What happens when you get a postcard? You look at it and you throw it away. The only reason I look at dental office postcards is because we're in the industry. I'll read it and say, hey, is anybody offering something special? We don't do any coupons, we don't do any offering, but I will read it only because I'm in the industry, and then it just makes its way into the garbage. So that is 25 cents that just got thrown away. And we decided to not do that and go completely digital. And when we look at our numbers, I think you saw it at the DSI, we're like 46% overhead. Marketing, we spent about 1% on marketing. And then supplies, which is what's near and dear to your heart, we're in the mid 4%. So, and those are things that we're going to talk about today, because although we have a very low supply overhead, I have to say that our supply cabinet could look a little bit better. And we're gonna have to do some cleanup here, right? And
some cabinets here.
Right.
How often you guys are open on the weekends?
We're never open on weekends.
So you close.
So we're closed unless it's an emergency patient. One of the things that we found, and I guess it's by looking at the numbers, if you think about being open on weekends, is that the highest cancellation rates that we had were actually on weekends.
Really?
So reason is you kind of want to look at your demographic, and what we were doing is booking people who wanted to book on weekends. You say, okay, yeah, sure, you can book on a weekend. But if you're sort of between the ages of 30 and 40 and you have kids, well, you have soccer games, you have those things going on. What are you going to do? You're going to cancel your dental appointment and do what your personal thing's going to do. So if you're going to book weekend appointments, we found that the best age to do is roughly people who have empty nesters, people in their 50s, people in their 60s, who actually don't have those same family activities on the weekend. And they were the one most likely to come. But we decided to just forego weekends. I think it's important for you. Money's important, but at the same time, it's important for you to have your personal life. And decided to forget that.
So that's like looking at the data. That's the important part of that.
The cancellation rate on weekends was extremely high. And obviously when you're paying your staff to be here on the weekend, it just didn't quite make sense. So could we open up weekends? Could we make a little bit more? Sure. But life is important too. So right now we decided to basically extend hours. We go from on Mondays and Wednesdays 7 to 7, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday 7 to 3. And we take our first appointments really early because in this business park, people actually want to go before they start work. And then they actually, this is a pinch point. So at the end of the day, everyone's only leaving through 2 exits out of Sorrento Valley. And the traffic out here during the weekdays is horrendous, so we decided to close at 3 o'clock or after 5 o'clock so people can either avoid the traffic or leave before traffic starts.
Wow. So it's like really going, not only looking at the data, but it's also knowing the demographics.
Yes. The majority of the patients here, if you were to look at our data, I think it's like 46% are in their 30s. They're all technical professionals, right? We have Qualcomm, we have all the biotech companies. They're engineers, they're doctors, so they pay attention to everything. And so we just wanted to make sure that we can accommodate what their work schedule is like. Work is very important to them, so they don't want to take time off of work to be able to come in. So that's what we did. So understanding, by understanding your demographics, you know how to shape your marketing. So you kind of mentioned most of the offices that you go to are probably in high traffic areas, malls. We completely avoided that. When we looked at our stats, I would say when we used to be in a retail mall and people would walk by, I think every month we maybe had one walk-in patient just from the traffic. And we were right next to I think I showed it to you at the other place. We were at a place where everybody goes to lunch. And and nobody came in. So you can save a lot of money per square foot by moving to an industrial area, converting an existing warehouse. Your cost per square foot goes down dramatically, and you use social media and digital marketing to be able to drive the patients in.
Interesting.
So then our overhead drops dramatically, and then you can put money into building the office.
Your wife is a dentist. You're a huge part of this thing. How do you guys manage the egos?
You mean the egos of myself and my wife?
Yeah.
Oh, that's difficult, right? So
No shit.
I mean, I don't know whose ego is bigger. Definitely my wife's ego is bigger, rightfully so, right? So she's the expert here. She's the dentist. I think obviously when you're married and you have kids, you have to balance your personal life and your professional life. We try our best to leave it in the office. So I do have my own day job, but at the same time, when we get home, I have an hour of that time to be able to sit with her and say, let's go over office initiatives, and then let's try every day, and then let's try to leave that alone and deal with the kids. Try to have dinner at the same dinner table if we can, or go out to eat, but we try to sort of limit it. And so only times we talk about business are sort of in that time when the kids are maybe getting ready to go to bed, or when we're in the car driving somewhere, and we'll get that done.
Okay.
And then I'll come in during the daytime for like an hour and work on office initiatives.
Yeah.
But other than that, we try to just separate as much as possible.
Yeah.
In terms of egos, it's difficult. My wife is headstrong, and as she should. She's willing to just take those risks and just jump into it, where because of sort of my background, I will analyze things sometimes to death. And we need that sort of personality where somebody like myself will look at the risks and how to avoid them, and she will say, eyes closed, I'm going to do it. And literally this office was one of those eyes closed moments. We were in the process of selling her other office, going to move back home to the Bay Area. Within that time frame, she says, we're canceling all of that. I don't like the person that's going to buy the office. Let's go build a new one. Okay.
Let's look at the data.
So we sold our house, started renting with the preparation to move back to the Bay Area. Within a 6-month time frame, we had changed that plan.
No way.
And built an office.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
That's how we roll.
I love this story.
That's how we roll.
Wow, I love this story.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So you guys, I mean, everybody talk about you're like you as a couple, right? You and Catherine at DSI, Dental Success Summit. Big shout out to Mark Costas and Ashley and Jake. Everybody talks about you guys. But what would you say to most of the people, like dentists, right? Like they would always try to bring their husband or wife into the dentistry, but they don't,
right.
A lot of times they don't know how to do that. Very few cases that I know, actually it worked out. Very few.
That's a good question. Again, kind of goes back to the ego, but it also goes back to knowing your boundaries. I know that I cannot do the job of the front desk. It's just not my thing. So I'm not going to interfere at that junction. I'm only going to kind of step in and know my lane and only offer input where I know that I can offer input, which would be technology, which would be finance and data analytics. I stay my lane. And I think that's how it works out. And, give a shout out, right? Owning a dental office is a family business at the end of the day. You're personally tied to it. Your husband or your wife is the dentist, goes to work. You're going to take it home. It's just the way it goes. So, shout out to all the dental spouses out there who probably work for free and put in that same time and effort and love. And frankly, if you can't trust your husband and wife, who else can you trust, right? Especially when it comes to finances. You just need to be able to trust each other. And it's difficult to kind of lay that on sometimes a third party.